Well, good morning, everyone. And we really thank you for your presence. And we are so glad to have these wonderful profiles, your profiles. And today we are so happy because we have the beginning of a great project that has been the result of the work of many researchers, many people that are certain that education can make a difference. This project, Open Inclusive Education, has been created with the idea to help education and to reduce inequity by using all these technologies, open educational resources so that they can be link the propositions from different strategic stakeholders like you are. The actual idea of this project is to gather strategic members from UNESCO and to make collaborative networks with other type of stakeholders like you working in formal and informal education in order to spread practices and specific resources that will mitigate some of the bad experiences we have had due to COVID-19 in areas that have been so affected by this pandemic. So what we want to achieve is that this collaboration will help in the development of regions and that you will become like a little grain of sand to develop other proposals that make this innovation to promote the use of educational resources that are open and sustainability models for an open education. We do believe that being able to put together different backgrounds from different regions of the world will bring incentive and improvement propositions for education to become a breakthrough in the development of different regions, promoting this educational reform, each one from your own trench. This project has been developed for many months with a lot of collaborative work. So why don't we start with one of the leaders that promoted all this work? And to me, it's an honor and a privilege to have, well, the uh, good idea to present Dr. Soledad Ramirez Montoya, who is a senior research in the Humanity and Education School of Tecnológico de Monterrey, Mexico. So she's been in the dynamic of education initiatives with innovation, research, and global sense as a mean of transformation and social impact for the permanent learning and sustainable development. As chair of the UNESCO lecture, this educational open movement for LATAM, she has started initiatives to form, produce, and research for open education. And as a chairperson of this open education and distance education board, open educational resources in LATAM, she has activities with research teams trying to enrich practices to have access to distance education in academic activities. Dr. Montoya, Ramirez Montoya, makes talents for education, emphasizing innovation, educational entrepreneur, and multidisciplinary research. She leads group of research, bringing rich experiences to generate knowledge, inspired in teamwork. She coordinates actions of innovation, globalization, making innovation research initiatives with national and international networks. Like I said, she's one of the main promoters and fosters of this event, leading this work. And as an important information about the development of this cycle of work, I want to tell you that in order to receive the recognition, the diploma or certification of this open ed proposition, you need to fill out an input and uh, the first survey and then a final survey. And in each seminar, answer three questions about a topic in each one of the lectures, and you must have the participation in at least 8 out of the 10 seminars we have scheduled. The idea is for you to have this global formation in the way you are having activities of open education in different areas of the world so that you can focus in this collaborative agenda of this project. And well, like I said, to me is an honor to present the doctor that is going to start, that is going to have this keynote beginning of this project. And I'm sure today is going to inspire us most, and so that we are going to be looking forward for the next seminar. It's a pleasure to have you here, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you, Monse. Thank you for your presentation and for all the support you've been giving in this project. Well, today we are celebrating. We were waiting for you. We really wanted, we were looking forward for having this Open Ed program along with my peers that you are going to be meeting in each week of the seminar. You are going to find wonderful jewels to share. Okay, we are in the beginning of this program, and I'm going to share my screen. These slides are available in both English and Spanish. It'll be ready an hour after we finish this webinar for you to keep it in mind. So now, Monse, can you let me know when you can see my presentation? Yeah, you can. We can see it very well. Thank you. Well, to welcome you, I want to start with this topic: open and inclusive education, information and research network, WUN and UNESCO. Monse has introduced me, and the presentation, like I said, is available in this site, and this OpenEd Marisol S, tiny.cc / OpenEd Marisol IS, and an hour after the webinar, this is going to be available in English as well. Instead of the S, please type E for English at the end, and then you will see the presentation in English. I'll start with this reflection. In crisis seasons, opportunities come in a strange way. Problematic situations bring with themselves moments to reflect, rethink, and refit the meanings. And in this ocean of uncertainty and complexity, encounters happen, and today we are here. Welcome to Open Ed. In our agenda, we are going to see 5 points. And in these 5 points, I'm going to be including the 3 questions to reflect about this webinar. We start welcoming in the context of our OpenEd program. What is this program about? Where does it come from? How did it start? It came from the initiative of professors, researchers from Australia, Ireland, South Africa, Canada, and Mexico, where we got together through a summon or an invitation by the WUN network to propose this formation idea to help in this crisis seasons we are going through in many countries. In this time of crisis brought by the uh, sanitation situation and other crises we also have of other type, the purpose of this project is to co-build with a world community that is interested in educational innovation practices in the framework of open education movement, where we can incorporate practices of production, use, spreading of educational resources, democratization of knowledge, and the intersectorial and interdisciplinary collaboration of knowledge. In this regard, this is our great target. And with the WUN network, we are working strongly to gather the members of the network and also the coordinators of UNESCO and in the join for the initiative of spreading and broadening the vision and the sight of open education, collaboration in different sectors, in all of them, formal and informal, in an interaction that allows the regions to have a growth, a development, and a solidarity to move forward and promote areas of the open education in great quality for everyone. And this time, our OpenEd program begins with about 500 participants. And I say begins because we invite you to continue to promote this program so that more people will join this initiative, and they are mapped, as you can see here in this slide, in the situation of the population. Most of them is a little bit more is women, 63%, and also we have men here joining us in this day. Where are these participants from? Where are you from, the ones that are joining us today? Well, we have people from different countries. We have in the Spanish speaking countries, have many people from there, and also people from Egypt, Namibia, Ireland, Italy, Australia, Puerto Rico, Bangladesh, Philippines, and the US. And also in the Spanish speaking countries, we have a high number of Mexican people, and also from our dear friends from Spain and Latam. That's how the participants are spread today. About 500 people joining this program today. And our participants, the ones that are going to be here interacting with us, most of them work in teaching, but we also have a few representatives, dignified technical representatives, especially CEOs, administration people, researchers, coordinators, and students. This is wonderful because what we want is to comprise this growth in networks in every sector, formal and non-formal sectors. Now, the ones that are on this side preparing this program and initiative, well, you have known us, the professors, when you have received the invitations. We have Constance from the Athabasca University, Mark Pergun, from the Western Australia University, Lendar Cost, from the Cape Town University, Jacques Olivier, from the Northwest University, Lisbeth Guzman, from the Dublin College University, John Catherine Weber from the Alberta University, Jose Vladimir Burgos from the Technological School of Monterrey, and myself. These are some of the professors and researchers that are going to be speaking in these webinars where we are going to be asking many questions, mobilization and practices. But along with us, we have a great work team. And in this great work team, we have a specialist on communication, professors, researchers, specialists on scientific spreading, researchers, and PhD students. And here we thank you so much for your participation. Thank you, Bárbara Castillo, Bel García, Ensolda Castillo, Nidia López, Joel Torres, Sara Rodríguez, Montserrat García, Gloria Tenorio, Dagoberto Salas, Fernando Lara, Sergio Ortiz, and Denise Parra. All of them are a great team that, with a lot of enthusiasm, have been with us, the professors, researchers in this experience, to be able to be here with you today. Thank you very much, team. Well, next, I'm going to talk about open and inclusive education. This is the driver of this webinar, along with the UNESCO recommendations. They are the main uh, engine or driver where I'm going to launch the invitations that I'm going to be making. Let's talk about Open Ed. Open Ed, it's a wide action field where we have the initiatives of design, implementation, and evaluation of opportunities to open knowledge and knowing from an operation and legal way to improve the quality in the formation process in the objectives of sustainable development from UNESCO from the 2030 agenda, especially for sustainable development, for invite us to promote these situations of quality and inclusive and equal education here. Open education has a high action framework to help in this sustainable development objective for, and here with our dear Christian Stray from the Netherlands, it talks about a framework in this action framework where we can get to see the open education initiatives. Recently, I had a systematic review on literature about where the publications of open education focus are linked to educational innovation. Then we found out in these words that you can see here in a bigger size or smaller size according to the what has been mentioned in these publishings in more than 110 uh, newsletters in the last 5 years. And there we can see the action field of open ed with open educational resources, with open massive courses, with the distance education, the development of literacy and information pursue the openness of books, innovation as an important element, open data, open systems, open learning, and then open ed covers all these elements where we have a lot of self-regulation, open science, technological, uh, educational technologies that give some support to these points to bring an education of quality that allows us to innovate in the educational arenas. An important aspect, but not the only one, in the open education framework are the open educational resources. Open educational resources are also an important aspect in all the concept of open ed. These open educational resources have been outlined by UNESCO since 2002, when the first definition started, until 2019, where we got to the most recent one, like those materials for teaching, research, learning, they receive in any format that have a specific particularity, that have a public dominion and protected by author rights under an open license. This is the situation of the open ed resources versus what we can find in the web if we go to the information research and licensing, the protection for the author rights. And also, this licensing allows the access, reuse, adaptation, and distribution with no cost at all by third parties. From that perspective, from this definition of the um, open ed resources, we can visualize and watch this, because this is about the first question in the webinar. In this OpenNet framework, we have also the OpenNet movement, where we can have different activities. What activities can we do? And then it goes in the role we do or we have and where we're interested in order to help. On one hand, we can make actions guided to production, resources production, open, massive open courses production, program productions that have the initiative, credential, and alternatives that are open. On one hand, this is one of the activities we can develop. But there are others where we can focus on in this open ed movement. This is the selection, trying to find these possibilities that open ed gives us to choose it and to bring it to our activities. Another one is like part of this program in open ed, and this is the spreading of these practices, open networks, resources, materials, open infrastructures, to spread it in different sectors: academic, government sectors, industrial sectors, foundations, community, in the society in general. And another additional aspect can fit in practices going to the mobilization, and this is using it in an active way. For example, in an educational institution, bring it to our courses, assignments, and then incorporate the materials there. Here we'll be talking about a mobilization, and also it can be done in different ways with continuous education programs or the activities we are doing within society. Therefore, we can say that we are talking about four types, equally important, different but important. There can be more than one where we can participate: production, selection, spreading, and mobilization. And this is the first question to reflect upon that I am asking for you to take notes. In which open ed practices do you think you could bring an impact in the WUN UNESCO framework? What practices? Production, selection, dissemination, mobilization? Which one do you think you could do from the activities you do as a student, as a professor, as a researcher, or as a society member. Where would you bring an input in which one of them? Now, let's go to the inclusive education field. Inclusive education is defined by UNESCO as this process to identify diversity in the students' needs through the contribution with bigger possibilities for learning, culture, integration, communities, languages, with the purpose of reducing exclusion in education. Talking about inclusive ed is a great commitment by all the society and areas. Inclusive education is the one that includes in the organization of the curricula the shapes and proposals of formation that everyone will learn in a balanced and equal way with a lot of quality to reduce that inequity that could be there for certain conditions, capabilities, or even culture, languages. And this is where inclusive ed has a lot of work to do, many things to do. A practical case that I present to link the two concepts, open education, inclusive education, and to continue to trigger the imagination of where we can help in this realm is one we had with our dear friends from Spain, Palomanton and Javier Monzon. And with them, we were checking practical cases where we could incorporate the two aspects, inclusive education and the possibility of the open resources. I invite you to read this material here because it is very interesting and it shows how in European projects, especially, these two concepts were joined for the people's well-being, people with multiple needs, especially with some type of disabilities. And now I want to go to a third time to talk about the UNESCO recommendations with opportunities. Here we have the second question that I am going to ask. In these UNESCO recommendations that recently came out in November 2019, they show five areas where they give us these suggestions, a recommendation to work on to continue to increase the open education potential, especially in the open educational resources. On one hand, we have capability development, the elaboration of support policies, inclusive equivalent access, sustainability models, international corporations. There are five. And the last one we see here is a follow-up and evaluation that is going to be done according to the UNESCO areas and by the member states, departments of education, ministries of education to see what we are doing in each one of these recommendations. And from this perspective of evaluation and follow-up is where possibilities for us open. Let me give you the question about this topic. The question is, I invite you to this. Visualize yourself in your activities, in your context, in your city, in your town or village where you are, and according to the conditions, contextual conditions where you are, choose in which one do you think we are going to have a bigger challenge to face open ed according to the UNESCO recommendations? In which of these five is going to be more difficult to carry it out? There are five. The first is about the development of capabilities to foster the creation, access, and the adaptation and redistribution. And what here these activities are going to be necessary, like sensibilization of open educational resources, give systematic training, continuous training like this one in this open ed program, make awareness on author rights for education and research, and take advantage of all these open tools to make them available and to promote digital literacy competences. So here we have the first recommendation and the first challenge. The second is in the elaboration of support policies. And in the elaboration of support policies, they invite us to make standards or guidelines that foster the use of open licenses in both institutions within their standard frameworks to make practice communities, expert networks, and to give recognition to those who are working in these areas of open ed. And here we also bring the inclusion for the transformation and equity, encourage research to promote more programs, research programs, but especially to execute these policies that have a follow-up in concrete practices that can bring us to action. So here we are talking about policies that can be institutional, national, and international. Yesterday, we had a wonderful roundtable where we talked about difficulties on support policies within the Open Ed Education Global Congress that is taking place this week. On the other hand, we have a third challenge within these initiatives is the promotion for effective, inclusive, and equitable access. And here they invite us try to guarantee this access to needs according to the programs and take care of gender perspective, culture, linguistic languages. Watch these principles of equity and gender, no discrimination, inclusion, have information and technology, IT, and broadband infrastructures that allow us to go with these points, promote incentives to have research on open ed, um, and also make standards, references, criteria that help us so that this type of materials in education will be accompanied by quality. Here we are talking about the promotion, effective access, inclusive and equitable access. A fourth challenge is in the sustainability model creation because the fact that open ed is going to instances that have no cost, it doesn't mean that it wasn't in the elaboration. They had it. The cost in time, investment, infrastructure, and whatever that was used to make the different open practices have a cost. And for that reason, we need to find those models, sustainability models that allow us to get to those dispositions to give a way that allows a continuity. And some of them are well known, such as donations, incentives to promote added value models with this collective generation of value alliance, like in this step. In this case, the OpenEd program is sustained by the WUN network. And from that perspective, the value generation joined the alliance and the colleagues that coordinate the UNESCO and IT lectures. And together, we are promoting this program that we hope will be only the beginning, and the day after tomorrow it allows to be in interaction with new activities and new projects altogether. So in this, we request a promotion of regulation frameworks, linguistic translation of the open licenses to give a proper application of them so that these mechanisms and all that will allow us to continue to increase the practices and the research through that collaboration. Last but not least, I'm talking about the fifth challenge. See which one you choose as the most difficult one. The fifth challenge talks about the promotion and strengthening of the international cooperation. So what we are requested in this recommendation is to promote alliances, networks that allow us to make projects that we can establish the day after tomorrow with financing mechanisms, regional and international ones, for open ed. Create and maintain these networks and those agreements, international agreements that bring us to practices of growth and also to bring platforms for an open and inclusive education. And now from here, this Open Ed program, along with another one we are having in this international UNESCO instance in the 2021 generation, they are types of activities where we link these strengths to get to the growth of inclusive and open ed. Well, we have 5 challenges, like I mentioned. Now, the question here, the first question was, in which one of these do you think, from your point of view, in your context, where do you think we are going to have more difficulties? It's not going to be, not that it's going to be impossible, but where do you think it is going to be a little bit more difficult to carry out? The third question is, why did you choose this challenge? So we will ask you to briefly explain your answer in 2 or 3 lines when you answer in the form that you are going to receive, and explain why you chose that challenge. Why? If you are in the Philippines and you chose a certain challenge, and why the one in Brazil chose another challenge. So what we want to do here is to talk with you about your conditions to carry out these UNESCO recommendations according to your context. Now I go to the fourth point of the agenda to talk about something that I like and that has to do with OpenEd. And these are the research information networks. Networks are those alliances, areas that bring us to a collective growth. I want to talk about some networks where we are having open practices and where I am glad to have participation with wonderful colleagues in international and national institutions. The network LATE MX are having projects like the one we just finished in the academic continuity model, and another one we are promoting about Mexican young ladies for science. And from this perspective, there are some reflections that I want to make is that when we work in a network, we need an operation coordination with the import of the situation for projects and work lines. As we have interdiscipline here, the network will have higher possibilities of knowledge. Another network where we also have worked incredibly is the Open Energy Network that came from a macro project and then for intelligent and sustainability, where we are moving towards a formation when it comes to sustainability. And in this work we have done through the Open Energy Network, we found that the coherence in these shared values in the network help us to sustain the vocation to work in a project in common, a project that brings us to those instances. Open practice that we are working on in this network has been 12 open massive courses that are in the IDX platform, open to the world to form us on these topics. And this is a network that I love. It's a network of researchers in actions. That's what we call ourselves. We get together every Monday. We are an informal network. Most of them are PhD students, young PhD people with the initiative to continue to learn. This picture was taken last month, and here we had the participation. These are the members from different countries, from Spain, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, and we are working together on initiatives, research that allow us to spread this knowledge that is being generated in open journals. The publications we make are focused on having this output in open journals or newsletters, and also in open depositories that allow the spreading of the knowledge. And from this perspective is how we are growing in altogether. We learn from one another, we exchange experiences and facilitate actions and initiatives for a multiplying effect, because each one of the members of this network We go to our areas and multiply this with our students and even with our family and friends, multiply what we learn here through the network. Another wonderful network, open network, is the one in Open Education Latam. Here we are within the Open Education Consortium, and we are working on an open initiatives in Latam, but we welcome people from other countries as well. And we are working precisely on areas that allow us to have growth for the formation and research. And here we have these key points when we work in networks. We need this commitment and clear objectives to have this collaborative work that will help us to grow along with communication and the spreading of this. A while ago, I told you that also we are celebrating today because today we welcome and open the UNESCO 2021 international area. This international instance is done every 2 years, and this is the fourth generation. And what we do is to work on open projects linked to the sustainable development objectives and open practices. And we made this network with the members to produce this project of development that allows this growth we are pursuing. As a strategy, we have some tools for the continuous interaction and also the initiative of having this constant work that allows to detect points where we can uh, be together making new initiatives, going to the production, spreading, and research. Another network and research groups is the one we have here at Tecnológico de Monterrey with my dear colleagues. It's a group of interdisciplinary research, and this is reasoning for complexity. Here we are working as a great dream to help to the future of education, creating solutions for those problems and challenges we have, and to help with the 2030 agenda of UNESCO in the framework of sustainable development, bringing us to the growth through the interdisciplinary knowledge in collaboration to generate research and development projects. They are three strong mobilizers. The ones we have here is open science, 4.0 education, and open innovation. And from this perspective, we are generating these initiatives to get to this generation. And I want to use this slide to tell you that we are looking for talent in this week. And until next week at the most, there are going to be invitations where we want people post PhD working with us in the interdisciplinary research groups. And we ask you that if you have contacts or if you are interested, please get in touch with us. There is a contact information so that we can send you the invitation. These post PhD ones are going to be here in the city of Monterrey and others in Mexico City. The following year, it'll be open for Querétaro, Guadalajara, for them to be working with us. Then we are looking for talent and we request help to find it. Another nice work that is being done in the research and innovation groups is by our dear colleagues, Julieta Nubes and Luis Nerio, where they are working on these initiatives of learning, research-based learning. And this research-based learning, they invite us to see projects that go towards having these studies and to prepare writings that can see the light and visibility. And then I close with these elements to tell you that from Dr. Arturo Molina, he makes a great invitation. And with this, I want to close these networks and research where he invites us to think on proper challenges. What is a proper challenge? Is the one where we have three important elements: society manifestation. This problems we have, the needs by society, linked to the proper level of ambition in order to transcend through this ambition, sort of say, and to present this question that is not an abstract dream, but a dream that can be carried out, sustained on scientific knowledge with a key point to generate new knowledge and to convey it to partners from different sectors, whether they are social, government, companies, and academia sectors. And from here, a proper challenge to be done or to carry out our initiatives now that we are talking about open ed and inclusive ed is to present the point of view on a certain topic that requires the intervention and help from us in order to produce a response to this challenge we have. Dr. Molina presents this, and I wanted to put it in English because he's also in the Spanish area, because these opportunities of challenges is something we can find everywhere from health, nutrition, education, work, productive systems, administration or management, energy, water, and these intersections in here, in this circle, we can make these projects. And this is where I present these situations. And according to the situation, your context, the challenges that you see, where there could be a sustainable incidence sustained on this type of initiatives, challenges, and research based on research. This is the invitation and the opportunities we have. And now I close this conversation with open invitations. This invitation, I start with the first one. We have a great opportunity in this distance education journal to share our experiences and um, things we have seen in this research in what we are living in digital 4.0 education according to the UNESCO recommendations. So in this magazine, we can write in Spanish, English, or Portuguese. The deadline is November 30 for you to remember. And I also want to invite you to uh, see if you can participate with us in the conference that we have every year, every December. We have the Educational Innovation International Congress with 3,000 or 3,500 people participating in these aspects. And it'll be an honor if you can join us this time. And it'll be done in this modality, many of them, many in distance, with a reduced number in person. And also, we are looking for talent to find uh, innovation education PhD. We are in this national event, and the National Board of Science and Technology allows us to all of us in this group of excellency to be with scholarship from the government. And with this scholarship, institutions go with different types of scholarships. And in our case, is 100% of scholarship. So we are looking for talent for them to come here to study and to share with us in the in education and innovation PhD, and also the education entrepreneurship, where we are having new actions for education. I remember what Monse mentioned in the beginning of this webinar. In each one of them, they are going to have the accreditation for the certification of this program. We need that you answer the first survey that you have received in your welcome kit, and it's going to be available also in the project website on OpenEd. So it is an initial questionnaire, and at the end, we are going to send another questionnaire. And each one of the webinars, we are going to be asking 3 questions, and you are going to get a link for a site where you can answer these 3 questions from each one of the webinars. So the idea is that you will let us know and that we can hear you through your answers. The questions I asked are placed in the webinar and are the ones that I am asking you to answer. And I close with this. Like we said yesterday in the beginning of this conference, in times of crisis, opportunities come in a strange way. Problem situations bring with themselves times to reflect, rethink, and reaccommodate meanings. And in this ocean of uncertainty and complexity, we have encounters. And today we are here with new challenges and invitations to build networks in pro of open and inclusive education. Enjoy the OpenEd program. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Doctor. I think all of us are excited. You have presented in a clear and accessible way about this open ed education. And I think you leave this wealth of thinking on what you mentioned at the end, the proper challenges. We are thinking where, but with whom, and we begin to see this strategic collaboration. And we are excited to see what we are going to have in the following weeks, where we can extend our collaboration bonds. And I think many of you are also, like me, uh, looking forward to see what we can do. And that's why it is an honor to hear you today. I think I am speaking on behalf of everyone. Thank you very much. I've seen the comments that they are very happy, a lot of enrichment, a lot of nourishment with your information. Once again, thank you so much. And we are looking forward uh, to seeing the next 2 months. Thank you, Monse. I invite everyone while we get the questions. Tell us who you are, where you are from, what you do. And I also invite you to, to place in here in the net where we have also include your open practice experiences. For example, I know from the 2019 international instance, I know wonderful work they have developed and that they have had international awards by the OpenEd Consortium. And well, please share that with us and tell us what are those projects about, where people can join to these initiatives. Luis Clemente, Antonio Ganchola, they are the representatives of these awarded projects in all the 2019 international instance that has received also a recognition for helping in projects for the UNESCO recommendations. Let's share to continue to increase our networks and alliances from what we have achieved and what we are going to achieve. What I see in the comments is that you are beginning to elicit situations like in here. They share from Argentina. Ana Meneses says that she already has a proposition to mobilize the interest groups in Argentina to develop capabilities that in favor the creation and spreading of open ed resources. And what I see here are comments of congratulations from El Salvador. They say, we are ready to collaborate with all of you. And there are people congratulating you. They say, it's always a pleasure to hear you. Guadalupe Mercado says, and talks about the Malinche project, and they say they are present in the conversation with the interest of collaborating. And I think the people are excited. This is the first activity we have, and we are like moving in here and checking where we can go, recovering these practices we already have. People continue to thank you. The number of comments is incredible. They are giving congratulations, words of thankfulness. They want to collaborate with you. They are asking you to start right away. And I think this is going to be reflected as we move forward, as we see the profiles, so that we can collaborate with the same people of the project. On the screen, you can see how excited they are for the opportunities that are opening today. And I hope more people will send some propositions and that something that can start soon. And we remind you that it is necessary for you to answer the questions in the form that is already included on YouTube while we stream this lecture. Try to follow the agenda of all the activities because they are going to be wonderful. They will give us lines of action and the panorama of what we thought we knew. I think we need to take advantage of these opportunities that include this openness of information, trying to collaborate to obtain bigger results that can be applied in better knowledge audiences. The congratulations continue because the information was so clear and accessible. If we see it, we say it's so simple, but at the same time, it has deep points. Once we finish, you begin to reflect on this, where we can get from where. It seems to be an easy journey, but we start with, for example, topics to internet access. When we are talking about OpenEd and we begin to see these gaps of differences, these problems with the pandemic, we see our realities, and then we begin to think about innovation entrepreneurship projects that help us understand and address our realities. Thank you, Monse. Thank you, Ana Meneses, because now you have the initiative in Argentina developing capabilities. I am certain it is going to be successful and it'll be a pleasure to know how it develops. Same thing for Guadalupe Mercado with the Malinche project. Wonderful. Please share it in the network. Include the information so that the rest of the people will know about it and join the collaboration. Edith, you say something very nice, and this is transformation. Transformation like an engine that drives us to growth and that requires a certain situation to be in collaboration with everyone in co-creation to produce this necessary environment for change and improvement. Norita, Esteban, it's always a pleasure to greet you, and it is great to collaborate in these open ed environments. Thank you so much. Doctor, now we have a couple of questions. Maria Eugenia Perez Duarte says, how can we join the projects? Well, how to join the projects? Well, we need hands, and that's why we have this open ed program. And when you hear my colleagues in each one of the webinars, you will say, where should I start? There are many things to do. You will hear them with all your experiences, practices, and then you will need more time to join the initiatives. What is strategic here is the suggestion that I give in these last reflections is where we had challenges based on research. And please begin to write what is interesting to you, where you can participate, and then choose. Because we have to be strategic to see where you can help 24/7 and with the activities that we have for social work at school, and then locate your route map and see where you are and get on the car. This is how you can collaborate. Join us. The networks, you already have them through this presentation. You have many networks where you can join these practices we are having. You have the contact information, especially visualize the input you can bring through the collaboration altogether. And also, I want to ask a question to all the participants. How do you see this open and inclusive ed topic, this challenge by the UNESCO for sustainable development, and learning throughout life. Is it feasible? What do we need? What can we do? And from that perspective, is this is what I want to leave you, what I want you to take away for you to find the answers. How can it have a bigger growth? How can we have success in these collaboration opportunities that will bring us to a quality education and for a learning throughout life? Thank you so much. Thank you, doctor. I don't know if we have time for another question. Just let me know. And some people are sharing some projects. There was a question. Let me find it. Just give me a second because the questions began to arrive and I lost it. Here we have one from Jorge Antonio Alfaro Rivera. How can we include teachers and students from teacher schools to this project? How can we collaborate, especially to mobilize these open educational resources? Thank you. Jorge, it's a pleasure to see you here. He's a professor and researcher I have the honor to collaborate with, and we've done it for many years. He's in Guanajuato State, Guanajuato City, in Guanajuato State, Mexico. We invite you to visit it. How can we join? Thank you, Jorge, because we need the professors and the professors forming professors. My heart is there. I graduated from a school like that. So in the seedbed we have with the young people and professors from this type of schools, we need to establish these alliances to promote open ed, inclusive ed areas that is the core for the formation of teachers. How can we join from our context and projects? Well, it is precisely to be linked to have projects together. The UNESCO lectureship is an important mobilizer. I invite you, Jorge, to bring it to professors, to students, for them to join us, because here we are making projects that are invitations in different areas, and we communicate them and we are growing in this knowledge. So I'm so glad to greet you, and please help us to spread with the students all this information with students and professors. Thank you so much. And also, doctor, we have some proposals of projects. Eduardo Vasquez Pastor talks about strengthening the reading comprehension through podcasts, using them in the reading process. We also have Elizabeth Carrillo from Universidad La Salle in Chihuahua State. She's working the Wake Up project with WUM and with the University of Tampico City in Mexico. And they continue to share ideas of projects, challenges they are working on. Norita says she has collaborated in diffusion networks in the ODS 5 and 8. And everyone is talking about many things. Eli Caudana says, let's make synergy, empathy, and let's be open to open knowledge. Technology nowadays allows us to forget about barriers and make alliances. Well, I think we don't have more questions. We only have challenges, ideas, and we want to continue to collaborate with all of you. Thank you so much. And here I see Silvia Dame, Luis, Norita, Elizabeth, Eduardo sharing their initiatives as I read and as you share with us, because this project, OpenNet project, brings incentives to networks and collaboration all together, formation and research together. So please write your comments, add links to your projects or videos about your practice, open practices and your areas, so that this can be a seminar of ideas, a seedbed of ideas, allowing us to spread these practices of the people in the OpenEd project. And now I want to leave this invitation to everyone in these open practices where we are doing, that we're going to do. Visualize how you can leave your fingerprint. Visualize how the dissemination of this project is going to be done. It can be with a video, uh, graphic information, or why not an article or a magazine that I invited you to see a while ago. Because whatever we do, let's leave this fingerprint, this footprint that allows others to see them and join and follow our steps on collaboration. This is the invitation, this is the illusion. I have to be with you. I know we are going to enjoy it big time. My colleagues that will be in the other seminars are wonderful. Don't miss them. We are going to learn a lot together and we will continue to create. Thank you so much. Big hug for everyone. Welcome and enjoy Open Ed. Doctor, there are other two questions. Do we have a chance? They seem to be interesting. Okay. Armando Romano says, do you think that one of the initial most important tasks is an action of diffusion and sensibilization among the public responsible people with competences to generate institutional change? Thank you, Armando, for this question. Thank you so much. Yes, we do need to make a lot of noise. We need to make a lot of noise, especially with the decision makers, these public responsible people. In December, we're going to start another program and we'll invite you to it. And one of these areas for open practices is going to be on here, but it will be about open practices. And one of the areas we are going to start with is this formation workshops for the people, the decision makers and government entities that are in charge to invite nationally and internationally to bring the topic of open ed, the open ed movement. So what you have mentioned, Armando, is very necessary as an important task. We need to go to the formation of the public responsible people to produce these changes we need. On one hand, we have the mobilizers that are students, professors that can be mobilizing, and many times we can get this change. But when we work together, directors, professors, and students, we have better outcomes. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you, doctor. Then the next question is from English. If you remember, we have translation. Adriano Giovanelli says, I am learning an experience as a designer, but I am trying to include in inclusive ed practices. Do you think we can have some research collaboration with this project? Yes, thank you very much, Adriano, for your question. I love it that you are connecting it with what you are developing as a designer on learning experiences. Now, here, bringing these projects with inclusive ed will bring a lot of value. I'm glad you have been able to see this from this lecture, and it will be an honor to work together in that research and projects we could establish. There are times when there are invitations or summons, and we say, who can I call? Like in the European invitations, and they say there must be three partners, three European partners, and two from LATAM. And then we say, who should I call? Well, Adriano Giovanelli, please. Well, we have your information because we need to establish these contacts for when we have these opportunities. And this is wonderful to start with the projects, the formulation of the ideas, so that when we receive these invitations, we will be ready to participate together. and I would be glad to have some collaboration. Thank you very much, Adriano. Thank you so much, Doctor. These are all the questions. I'm glad we have seen that people from the English room are participating, people from Africa, people from Europe, and we hope they are also very excited, as I am so excited. See you next week. And in these proposals, I hope they repeat over and over and that we can make many projects to start to make changes in their social reality. Thank you. Thank you so much. And well, please remember that in the project website, you will have all the recordings, all the support in English and Spanish, and also the recordings in the two languages so that you can have a follow up. We are going to place also the link of registration to answer the three questions in each webinar. So if you have any doubt, well, here we are at your service and you have the contact information. Please enjoy the OpenEd program. Please let your imagination fly. We have interesting challenges for everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Thank you for your participation. Follow us in